The following episode is brought to you by Poison City Brewing, proud makers of Durban Poison Cannabis Lager, the beer that invites you to live your poison. We are super excited today because we are bringing you basically the youngest blues rock band from East Africa. And yeah, this is a really awesome moment as well because I think this is the first band or artist that we've had come through from a different country within Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this is basically a first, and they basically come all the way from Kenya, and we're about to learn a lot more about them. Now, guys, before I continue, I'm Naz, and I've got my co-host Megan from Limandev, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So just off the bat, guys, you guys do mention that you're the youngest blues rock slash classic rock band in East Africa. But there's something interesting that one of the guys, I think it was Silas, if I'm not mistaken, that he mentioned that you guys don't want to be seen as that kid band at the same time. So just break that down for me in terms of how it sort of works for you guys.
Yeah, so I think when we first came out and when we first started, we obviously used the youngest blues rock band just because it was exciting and it was like to see when we started. I feel like it was what we wanted to like display ourselves as is kids that can still play music at a somewhat high level. But I feel like our viewpoint now has probably changed since then. Um, Now we want to be seen as artists, and like since those 2 or 3 years since we like started or we're at that phase, we've really grown and we've really like kept our heads down and really improved and matured as artists. We feel like so. I feel like there are different eras, I like to say, of Refuge, and the first one was like seen as the kid band, and now we're at a place where we just want to be seen as a band or a music group.
I'd like to keep on that theme for a minute. I was wondering, since you guys play live shows and a lot of the venues have age restrictions, how do you navigate the scene and get yourselves booked when something like that might be a challenge?
Yeah, so again, guys, thanks for having us. But yeah, so it's a good question. It can be a challenge at times, but you know, normally like the venue owners are pretty respectful about it. So they're like, yeah, as long as you guys are just like coming in and playing and not staying around for too long. Yeah, that's kind of how we deal with it. But yeah, we try to stay away from, I don't know, the stuff we're not supposed to be around too much when we're playing in venues like that. But yeah, it's normally how we do it.
Are there any sort of pressures that you guys might feel, maybe in a lineup where you might be playing with people who are twice your age? Maybe you have been playing longer and whatnot, or would you guys say that the fact that you guys are this young and playing these live shows would be sort of an advantage because you're coming through maybe with something fresh and whatnot? Break that down for me.
Yeah. So when it comes to pressure wise, I think it's it's kind of like sometimes it could be a really big honor playing with some people who are like established in the music scene, or we're following up after them, or we're coming before them. And the Kenyan music scene, rock wise, or any of the genres we play, is not very established. It's a lot of like Afro pop and local Kenyan music, which is all great and stuff, but it's not really our kind of thing, right? But it's an interesting thing, playing in front of crowds who are not necessarily used to our kind of music or even our kind of like message that we're trying to convey. So there's a pressure in the sense that we're trying to do something new and we're trying to show people that new thing. But I don't know, like music wise, not too much.
I think you guys really are coming through with something new and fresh and whatnot. And from my understanding, is that yourself and Teresa are siblings. And, basically just looking at that aspect of things. And obviously the band is, it consists of, more than just you and your sister and whatnot. But just looking at it from that perspective for now, how's the experience playing, in a band with your sister and whatnot and a family member? Would you say it's a challenge or is it like more of an advantage and whatnot?
Yes, Teresa was probably gonna want to follow up after me with this, but yeah, it's quite fun. I Yeah, she is my blood family, but like I consider everyone in the band like my family, right? So it's kind of like playing with all my siblings. With Teresa, sometimes it's a challenge when it comes to songwriting, but it's also an advantage because it's fun that we can just songwrite in the house outside of like band sessions and stuff like that. I'm guessing Teresa's probably gonna say something different.
Well, I would just say that I agree with him. There's like challenges, but then also like advantages. So the challenges would be like, obviously we're siblings, so there's arguments, but then like from those arguments and stuff, we also have advantages because we get to practice outside of band practice, and we get to like learn more together and progress together. So there's advantages and challenges.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Even when it came to arranging this interview, something that I actually found out from Megan before we started is that I'd been communicating with Joe, and Megan was just telling me now that Joe is the one that she's been communicating with as well, and that apparently it's your father, and it's really cool that you guys are keeping it in the family, and like Patrick said as well, it's like the entire band is basically like family, and it's just I feel like when a band is a lot more than just about making music, amazing things come from that. So yeah, shout out to you guys and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is pretty evident from listening to your music is that you draw inspirations from a generation that is older than yours. I'm wondering if that is something that you inherited from your parents or maybe other family members, or was it a process of discovering that era of music on your own?
I say that it's probably a combination of both. Me personally, my parents were playing like Bob Marley, Bill Withers in the house when I was growing up. But I feel like I really like fully emerged into that kind of scene of righteous music as I got closer with Patrick and Gabe earlier on in our journey. Um, so yeah, from what I know is that Patrick and Gabe's families were like really like educated in the different genres, different scenes, and like different music histories. And I feel like we all, and to this day, are still educating ourselves on different potential influences that we could have, and just reflecting on the ones that we already have. So I'd say it's probably a combination of us finding out our own like taste of music that we enjoy to listen to, but also having influence of parents who have brought us up around that music.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a similar thing with me, right? Like Saya said, we were all kind of born into families that like good music already from the start, so that was kind of an advantage, right? Well, good music and our taste, right? But yeah, we kind of found artists here and there, but it's an advantage definitely being born into a family who respects music as like not only just as music, but as more like it's a message. It's a way of life, kind of.
Yeah, and for anyone who may have even paid your Instagram a visit, right off the bat in your bio, you guys mentioned there that it's you've got that whole conscious roots rock, unidentifiable genre is what you guys have said on there. But then I also just refer to content that you've released in the past as well, like the documentary where you guys mentioned you blues rock band, and Patrick even mentions during that documentary as well that you guys are a blues rock classic rock band as well. So just looking at those two sort of differences, where would you guys say you actually fall under?
We fall into a variety of genres. I don't know, but I I think roots rock would probably be the most proper term because that's not even really referring, in my mind at least, it's not really referring to rock and roll, right? That's referring to reggae, it's referring to dub, it's referring to R&B, blues. It's referring to really a lot of things that just have substance in their lyrics and substance in the music. So, I guess we're roots rock because I guess everything's roots rock, right?
I want to know more about what you call the revival of righteous music.
I can take that question. I feel like us as kids who've been raised in families that have been, brought around that kind of music that requires a talent and brings up like a really positive message. We really just want to spread that to as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's that, right? It's really the music is just a bonus to it. It's kind of expressing what an individual feels like, and expressing and basically doing good in what you're expressing, right? Saying, talking about real problems. You know, it doesn't have to be cheesy. It doesn't have to be saying, "Oh, the climate is changing" or something like that. It has to be. It has to like really resonate to individuals and to what an individual feels, right? Like in some of our songs, we sing in metaphor about religion, but not necessarily in a religious way. We're just talking about, you know, problems in the world or even great things in the world, and showing respect to all of it, and showing and just trying to communicate what's happening in the world, because we, in our minds, a lot of pop culture and media and now and stuff like that is not necessarily conveying what we see as humans, right? What we see as like good people, and yeah.
And just considering the fact that when you guys you do mention that your goal is to basically be the haven for a heavy soul, and basically when you break that down, and you're saying that it is you guys want to sort of be a place where people can escape the inauthentic music that fills the airways and whatnot. So when you say that, do you guys feel, as a band that started back in 2016, do you guys feel that you guys are currently fulfilling what you guys had set out for yourselves?
I feel like, us as kids, us as like 15, 16-year-old boys and a 13-year-old girl, um, if we keep on thinking that like we are doing what we're set out to do, our egos are just going to get too large, especially at this age. So we really try to take a humble approach, and even though we do get good feedback from the people that we surround ourselves with, we always try to think like we can always do more. Obviously, for one, we want to be able to spread righteous music as much as we can, but on the other side, we're also just musicians to have a privilege to have a platform to share our ideas and share our music that we've come up with. So I feel like as of now, to answer your question directly, I would say we've done a decent job at doing what we said we're trying to do. I don't want to say we were doing a great job, just because that would be too self-centered, but I do feel like we're on the right track.
I want to get just a little more clarity on that, on a section, or just a part of that statement in terms of the inauthentic music part. According to you guys, what would you guys sort of classify as being inauthentic music? And I'd like to actually just get perspective from all three of you. Teresa, jump in here if you want to as well.
Yeah, so inauthentic music doesn't mean a genre. It doesn't mean a specific type of track, right? Like it doesn't really mean anything in specific. It means people using the music platform, or like using a music genre as a way of just conveying something that doesn't have substance, right? Something that doesn't, because music is such a big platform. It's such a big part of our culture, and in every place you go, right? Every place in the world, music is so important. So the fact that like music, which is not, that lacks substance, that sings about it has degrading lyrics, or stuff that just really is not a matter to this world, is what we consider as inauthentic, right? And I'm guessing there's more things that the other ones want to add to that.
Well, I would agree with him, but I would also have to say that, like, for inauthentic music, it's like also just made for selling, not made for, for actually to people so that they can enjoy it, or that it has really like a deep meaning to it. Basically just like commercialized, in my opinion. And that's really what I think that inauthentic music is now, not music that actually has meaning compared to other music genres or other songs.
So my take on inauthentic music probably has to be a combination of what's been said already. Um, but also that like nowadays a 10-year-old kid can like go on their laptop and play a simple 4/4 beat with like a repetitive hi-hat, and sing with some auto tune, and it's like a modern day hit. And um there's just not much like musicality, I feel like, to a lot of music that's popular. And this is not like, again, like I am generalizing, but there definitely are artists today that I do that are in the mainstream like scene, and are really talented and really like go along with our ideas and morals, but just like the general concept of like, you know, today artists that are in that scene are just not as talented as you may want. So I'll let Ike go after me now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like nowadays there's a lot of music that is just made for money's sake. I feel that there's a lot more respect that should be given to music itself and the messages, the work that other people put into, you know, spreading good messages and or just wonderful experiences to other people. And I feel like nowadays the sort of standard has dropped from what it used to be. So that's what I'd classify it to be, you know, inauthentic music.
Do you think that it is possible to have music that exists for entertainment's sake and music that exists as maybe a mode of activism? Do you think it's possible for those to coexist?
That's a great question. Well, I think it's possible because, well, I think it shows, but like I I would say a lot of the music now is almost purely entertainment, and it's like, of course it should be entertaining. Of course you should be entertained by the experience, right? That's what being a human and enjoying life is all about, right? But not entertaining in the sense that you just want it because it's like candy, right? It's like music candy. Oh, it's easy. It's like I can listen to this for a minute and then I'm just gonna get rid of it right after. That's what I see as like the entertainment side of music right now. But I definitely think that a lot of music should be activism, and it doesn't have to be activism in the sense that you're like singing about like the deepest issue on earth, right? It's just singing about truth and singing about great experience, like Ike said, great experiences in your life, and singing about don't like not faking experiences, not pretending you're someone who you're not. Because like for example, in rap, there's plenty of artists who even analyze their their lyrics in like a YouTube channel and say, yeah, I never experienced that. I was just making stuff up. I'm like, the fact that that even exists is terrible, I think, and it's shows what our society like sees as normal, and that shouldn't be normal, right? And I'm not trying to like sound like an old head right now, but it's you know it's there's I think entertainment and activism should be one, and it shouldn't just be about pop candy. It can exist, but shouldn't be what's topping the charts.
Patrick, from what you just said there, bro, would you guys ever consider doing like a collaboration with a quote unquote pop candy artist? If a pop candy artist had to come through and be like, hey, I want Refuge to, hop on one of my tracks. It's a hip hop track or whatever. We've got the whole auto tune thing going, and I just need you guys to hop on that. Are you guys, by saying what you're saying, are you sort of shutting down something like that in future, maybe a future collaboration with someone who does that kind of stuff? Or is it something that we could maybe see maybe in future that you guys might even consider?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Yeah, I think it depends on artist, right? Like there's plenty of mainstream artists who I wouldn't say are like pop candy, but are pop, right? Who I actually enjoy a lot. And I wouldn't turn it down for certain ones, but for example, like this might, I don't know, if anything happens in the future, this might get me in trouble. But if it was like Nicki Minaj, I wouldn't do something like that. If it's like Damian Marley or like Tyler the Creator, I'll do it.
Considering that you draw from genres that are quite reliant on certain elements, how do you balance keeping the integrity of the genre intact while still allowing yourself that creative freedom to innovate and explore?
That's a really great question. I think that as of now in our music careers, I think that we're at a point where we want, from when people listen to like a Refuge song, we want it to be like, oh, what genre is this? Like I can't think of it because like there's a reggae guitar, but then the bass is like, you know, is like rock, and then the drums are like funk, and I'm like confused. That's kind of what we want. We want our sound to be unidentifiable to one specific genre, but at the same time, everything we play is a result of what we listen to and our interpretations of said like music craftsmanship. So we're really just trying to, again, like have the essence of our music to be from like certain artists that we listened to in the past, but the product of that should have our own touch and our own signature, like flavor to it, if you will, that cannot be associated with one specific group of music.
I think let's just play a bit of Wind, and then we will jump back into it when we come back.
If I say I don't know what's been, I gotta find the words I can't say. I don't know if I've been down, or if I need to turn my world around. I know if I just stand and bend, I can't go back to what has been. I don't know if I've been down, or if I need to turn my world around. And you know what John said.
So you said you guys are working from across time zones. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Gabe, sorry, not Gabe. Ben is coming back in a couple of days from the UK. So the time zone's not too different, just a bit. Yeah, he's just been traveling because of Corona and stuff. But yeah, he's coming back soon. So there hasn't been too many drastic changes, but you know, it's not been too easy not having them around. And Ike's currently in South Africa, so.
So that's why there hasn't been as much bass in the live streams.
Yeah.
Ah.
I want to look at that whole Kenyan aspect. You know, how did it all sort of start off in Kenya?
So we're all from different countries. Some of them are Eritrea, Ethiopia, Bolivia, Kenya, UK, Wales, America as well. So we're all from different places in the world, but we just so happen to go to the same school in the same country, which happened to be here in Kenya. And we do go to an international school, so we have all gotten exposure to various different cultures and races and everything. So it's a really, like, I can't really explain how we all end up in the same place, given that we're all, you know, from different corners of the world, but we just so happen to come together here in Kenya.
And sort of, you know, being a band from, you know, or basically linking up, you know, in Kenya, you know, for someone like myself who, you know, especially here in South Africa, like you never hear anything about Kenya, like nothing at all. So I feel like even for me, this is an opportunity to learn something about you know, Kenya and whatnot. You know, what is it like being a band, you know, originating from Kenya and playing within the Kenyan sort of music scene and whatnot? What is that whole experience like? What is Kenya like? Enlighten me.
Yeah, well, Kenya's great. It's awesome. It's quite unique musically. It's geographically, it's incredibly diverse. But you know, being a band in Kenya is interesting because the music scene really is only in a few directions. It points to like Afropop, and it points to a lot of you know, like Kenyan rap and stuff. So it's being a reggae, rock, funk kind of band. You know, it's different for us to experience the music scene here. So it could be a struggle at times, but it's also an advantage because local Kenyan music has influenced our music, and it's also influenced the way we're like, right? And Kenya is just great in general. It's definitely one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah, talking about the live scene, could you describe what the energy is like when you perform together?
It kind of surprises me how many people like rock in Kenya. It's really wonderful being able to play live shows and there are people, I don't know, headbanging in the front of a crowd or just generally dancing, enjoying themselves. Sometimes there's lots of jumping around. It's really nice to see that people, you know, like that genre of music. Live performances are generally really energetic.
So what does the typical crowd look like for you guys? Is there a variety of people, or is it the same group coming back for more?
I would say that it's both in some ways. Well, it's not like we have a ton of fans just following us around when we go on gigs and stuff, but I mean, we do see like familiar faces, you know, people that we see like multiple times in concerts, and those people are amazing. They're really nice and everything, and there's a lot of other people as well, you know, just random people that are there, happen to be there, and then they end up liking us, and then we see them other times, but other times we don't, you know. So it's It's really fun, to be honest.
You mentioned fans and followers and whatnot, and I just automatically just thought of you guys' Instagram and how you guys on like 16K followers. Like, would you guys say that purely boils down to just the fact that you guys are just geniuses when it comes to, keeping your social media up to date and having, taking videos of your performance and all that? What would you guys sort of credit that to?
I would probably credit my dad and Gabe's dad a lot for that. And we started the page, but then we couldn't really handle it because we didn't. It's a lot of stuff. Talking to potential record labels and talking to tour managers and all that kind of stuff. It's not really our place to do it, and I don't think we feel necessarily comfortable for that. So like the social media aspect of it, yeah, we got to credit my dad and Gabe's dad a lot for that.
Yeah, and another thing is that we are still like not adults, so that kind of stuff. I feel like we're not at the age where we can handle that ourselves, even if we might want to. So yeah, we really have to credit Patrick and Teresa's dad and Gabe's dad for handling that. And I remember a few years ago, like in 2017, when Gabe, Patrick, and I started an Instagram account, it like lasted for a week tops, and it wasn't something that we really could manage. So we really are really thankful for those two guys keeping us up to date with that.
It's crazy, Silas, bro, when you mention that you guys are still not adults, because you guys just come across mature. Even the way that you guys speak, the things that you guys say, as well as your music as well. Something that Megan said as well when we started, and that the influences and the type of music that you make is generally made by people who are twice your age and older than what you guys are. So would you say this is just generally the direction? Has it always been like this, or is this sort of like a result of maybe things that you guys have learned and maybe picked up along the way?
Yeah, so I think that at the beginning, it wasn't at all. We never thought we would get to this point. Um, and not to say that like, we're so great kind of thing. It's just that we didn't think that it would actually like have the success that it has so far. At the beginning, it was just, oh, you play drums, I play guitar, you play bass, whatever, like let's play together and see what we can do. Um, and we really just started out as like a cover band. We just played the music that we wanted to play at the time. We like played at, school gatherings and things like that. So it was never like anything serious. I think that like by the time that we wrote our first song, then we were like, oh, maybe we could like, extend this to what it has become now, and like we'll continue to evolve it to. So as of now, we all are very optimistic and just want to like um, keep going with it. And we're really thankful and surprised that we've gone to this point where we can actually take it seriously.
Yeah, in listening to your lineup of covers and then listening to your album, I can definitely see how you've incorporated your influences and paid homage to even the more subtle aspects of that era, in terms of even your titles and the length of your songs. You're really paying tribute to the essence of live music and of the influences that you draw from. I'm wondering if your covers are mostly born out of love, or are they strategic in terms of locating your audience?
So that's a good question. Yeah, it's kind of it could be sometimes we play a cover. It's normally we just want to play it because we love this kind of music, and then we love that song in particular. But if we see it's like successful with with the audience in a event or concert, yeah, we'll probably play it again because it was successful. But so it's kind of like a bit of both. If the fans seem to like it, we'll play it again.
Yeah, and just to add on to that quickly, one of the songs that when we play a gig, we like usually play very often to finish our song off is "House of the Rising Sun" by the Animals. That song we've like played so many times live and by ourselves that it's just really become like a part of our set. And that was a mixture of like really loving the song, but also getting positive feedback from our audience and the people that go to our performances. And that's something that we all always look forward to when it comes to playing it on stage.
Considering this lineup, I mean, we've got Bob Marley and the Wailers, we've got the Grateful Dead, Cream, Greta Van Fleet, Santana, ZZ Tops, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Really, really a good crop. Out of all the acts, living or not, if you could open for anyone, who would it be?
It's a good question. It's a close tie between probably the Allman Brothers, like prime Allman Brothers. So it was like when Dwayne Allman was still alive, or the great Bob Marley. Like Bob Marley, that would be something different because he's not only one of the greatest musicians and songwriters. He represents everything that we're trying to convey, just in a kind of a different way, right? Like he's obviously more reggae. So yeah, it's those two for me.
I think that question is very individual. So I think we can, like, Teresa and I can go after me. It definitely like revolves around the blues soul theme. So it will probably have to be like BB King or James Brown, I'll have to say.
Yeah, so like Silas said, I think this is a very individual question because we all have like our artists that we listen to individually that like some members of the band don't really listen to. And I would say personally, like I would love to open up. They're not like going anywhere, obviously, but Queen. I would just love that. I really love Queen.
Yeah, definitely not for me. Not Queen for me.
Ike, who would you open for?
Okay, this is a very hard question. Not to say that I wouldn't open for any of the others. Frankly, I really would, each and every one. I might lean towards Bob Marley. I don't know. His music was amazing. Is amazing.
Yeah, bro. Bob Marley is a very solid one, like Patrick was saying as well. One of the greatest songwriters of all time. Just looking at Win, like I said, it was my favorite song, so I'm obviously gonna bring it up. And it sort of brings me to your guys' setup, and that even with the other performances that you guys have up, in that you guys have an electric that you guys jam, and then you also got an acoustic there. What was sort of the reasoning behind that, considering especially here in South Africa, you'll find that the majority of the bands, as much as there's going to be two guitarists, they're both on electric. So was there any sort of reasoning behind that decision?
That's a really good question. Again, that probably has to tie back to like our attempt of being like unidentifiable with the genre of music we play. Like in almost every practice, we like start off by just jamming, and that usually is like with all electric, and those go on for like 20 to 30 minutes each, which I'll personally really look forward to. But yeah, I feel like you can really get a really nice blend with an acoustic guitar and an electric bass or what have you. On one of the songs that we're planning to record in the pretty soon from now, I'm playing a 12-string acoustic, and almost everyone else is electric except for obviously Gabe. And the reason behind that is like we played it one time and it just really like fit with the song, and so we decided it fits with the song and like it sounds good and like it just blends everything together nicely. So that was the process behind that.
Yeah, for that piece in particular, I think when I initially wrote that first progression, I was writing it on on an acoustic, just like a regular acoustic kind of folk guitar, and what I kind of thought was I was at that moment, I think I was listening a lot to, like that month I was listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin 3, and like if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, you know how much acoustic is driving that album, right? And I was like, how can I get this tone out of it? And I didn't have a 12 string, and then I knew Silas had a 12 string. I'm like, so what if I put kind of stoner rock sounding electric guitar with a 12 string kind of Led Zeppelin-y kind of sounding sound? And then Silas did his magic and just used his 12 string, and then we kind of combined that.
I want to dive into the music a little deeper. If we can take it back to, if I'm not mistaken, your first song, Gone Astray, and to maybe one of the most recent ones you've written, maybe Rude Boy. What's changed? What is something that is still intact? And how has your writing process evolved from your debut project to the stuff you're working on now?
Yeah, it's so Gone Astray. We kind of actually just randomly recorded. So it's interesting when we first started playing it. So the riff was like really similar to like How Many More Times by Zeppelin, and I'm convinced myself that it wasn't really like the riff. But then I started listening to How Many More Times, and I'm like, I must have heard this at like the Royal Albert Hall concert, and then I just started like making the riff. But we first recorded it out of chance. It was kind of like a really sloppy cut, and that was like 2018. Then after that, we started recording. We actually recorded the second version with the new riff of Gone Astray, which is the one on Spotify and like Apple Music now. And the songwriting process changed a bit for the song in particular, but for that song, it's like 7 minutes long, like the original cut, I think. And we were the songwriting process was like, let's have a verse, let's have a chorus, let's have a verse, let's have a chorus, and then let's have a jam, right? Pretty basic stuff. But in that moment, like we were like, we didn't really, we did something different, right? We put a jam in the end, but it was still kind of like a basic thing. Now I think we're lyrically, especially, we always had kind of, I feel like, authentic lyrics even back then, but lyrically now, we're incorporating a lot of, like for Rude Boy in particular, it's, I don't know, for me, when I write lyrics and Tita helps me, and then when she writes lyrics, I've been incorporating a lot of, like Rasta kind of lyrics, because I'm very influenced by that movement in particular, and we're trying to incorporate that with rock, and then just whatever's authentic and whatever is like unique and whatever we like. So the songwriting process is kind of like, it's fluid, but it's different than it was before.
Having been playing since 2016, what has each of you learned about each other? What has Refuge taught you guys about your fellow bandmates? Teresa, we can start with you.
Well, I think that we started I probably started in 2017, sorry, a little bit later after the beginning of it. But I think that we all learned in each of our like instruments and musically, and I don't know, they all have something individual about them that's like changed from before, like, and there's a lot better now. Not saying that they were bad then, but they sound really great now. So that's what I can say.
So that question is a really good question. I feel like it's really individual with the bandmates that I have, and I feel like one of the processes that I've like learned about them is whenever we jam, I've noticed that Patrick in particular, like when he's soloing, he usually like plays his licks in like the first two measures, and like, because usually we play in 4/4, he usually plays his like licks in the first two measures. So I found that playing rhythm guitar, I can like do like a call and response thing where he plays a lick, and then I'll play the another lick in the second two bars, which in a lot of jams have happened, and I really like enjoy those parts, because like it really like brings out the compatibility with each other. I don't want to go like too in depth with each person, but I found that Gabe really, like, when things are going up, he like uses the cymbals a lot more, which I try to play with him, like play like power chords as soon as he hits the cymbals. I found that Ben, when things are soft, he likes to solo and like go like into higher octaves, even on the bass. I found that like he usually, like in the beginning of a song, he'll play just the basic chord progression, and then afterwards he'll add like a little like, I wouldn't say hammer on, but just little like add notes, and like subtly, but just make it so like it has like an extra jazzy like addition to that. Teresa found that her voice is really deep, especially for a girl, so the key, we've really had to like modify the keys that we can play our songs in, but at the same time it also like makes it, when she's belting, like it makes it so much, you can respect it so much more, because like it's harder for her, and it sounds really good because her voice is also really soulful.
Yeah, I think what I found about each one of them is all this music is like led me to understand them as people, and like how each one of the it's not about one person in the band. It's not about like what you want to do. It's about how can this machine like move forward. And I found out from understanding each one of them in my time and as a friend of them. And so I realized, we all put our egos aside to an extent, and we we just try to make it work. And that's what I found out about these guys. That they try to they just try to make it work and make what's best for us.
Would you guys ever consider, touring maybe South Africa? This is last question on my end. Shout out to me for throwing that one my way. Would you guys ever consider coming down to South Africa and doing like a tour for us down here?
Absolutely. No, 100%. Yeah. Hopefully that's one of some of the first stuff we do next year. Yeah. I've been to South Africa a couple times, only Joburg, I think, in Pretoria, but I loved it down there, and I lived in Zimbabwe, so I know culturally it's kind of similar, and yeah, I would love to do that. Hopefully we get to do that soon.
Yeah, and now Ike lives down there as well, so it'd just be really amazing. It'd be a nice opportunity.
Hey, that is special, and I can honestly say that with the kind of music that you guys are making, there's definitely an audience for that down here. And the one refreshing thing about this is the fact that the people that play the type of music that you guys play here in South Africa are like quite like the older generation and stuff. So I think you guys would appeal to the older generation, but at the same time you would have a lot of the youth come through as well because of how young you guys are. It's the perfect blend. I think that tour would be a successful one, and Meags and I, you can just be guaranteed that Meags and I would be front row cheering you guys on. So really looking forward to the day that you guys come down.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for having this time with us. It's been quality, and the one thing that I really like about you is that you're the type of band that I can actually, pitch to my parents and say, listen to these guys, because they're, for some reason they're convinced that all the music they like is over and there's no new versions of it. And I think that you guys give a whole bunch of listeners new hope and new juice to quench their thirst. My last question is, who is Euthyralius Tyne, and why do they need a wordless ballad?
Okay, this is actually a very interesting story. So Euthyralius Tyne is he sounds like an Anglo-Saxon from like not the 900 or something like that, but he's actually or she was actually my cat who ran away like it was like 2 years ago or something like that. My little brother, we were all giving out cat names. We were like basic cat names to what to name this cat, right? And then he thought he was clever, and he was like, why don't I name it Euthyralius Tyne? He was dead serious, right? And we're like, what in God's name is Euthyralius Tyne? And I thought he saw it from some like medieval movie. So, we like, let's make a song about Euthyralius Tyne, the cat. And yeah, so now it has a wordless ballad.
Did you ever find the cat? I mean, he ran away. Did you guys find him? What happened?
Well, he ran away a couple weeks after we got her because of our dog. She was really scared of him, so she ran away a couple times actually. And then our neighbor found her like 2 months later, and she just kept her. So
Euthyralius Tyne is a mysterious character. We don't know where she is at the moment.
Like, honestly, this has been such a jump. Like, it's been really awesome learning a lot about you guys. In closing, do give us all your handles where people can get in touch with you and whatnot.
Yeah, so you can find us at @refuge_Kenya and basically everything. Instagram, that's probably where you want to follow us the most. We're most active on that. But even on Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube, just look up Refuge, and then you can find it under the channel section. And for Apple Music and Deezer, Spotify, and all those, you can find us at Refuge period, and it's just like a period right after the word, because all other refuges were taken. So
Hey, that is solid, guys. And obviously, with Sludge Underground, all our episodes across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also SoundCloud. We are Sludge Underground Podcast. And obviously, if you want to get in touch with us on social media, on Facebook, it's at Sludge Underground. On Instagram, at Sludge Underground. And on Twitter, it's at Sludge Earthy One. As for myself, it's at Zwane Earthy One. Megan, who are you online?
Find me on Instagram at lemondove or at Meag King.
That is solid, guys. So we need to play out with one of your tracks. Which track would you guys say best represents you guys and what you do?
just play one of the ones from the album, The Only Time, maybe.
All right. No, it's all good. It's all good. Only Time is what we're going to play out with. Guys, if you've been listening to this, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been Refuge. Megan, thank you for hosting this with me and being a great hostess as well. Guys, until next time, it's bye for now.
Hey, I can see you, but I can't leave you. But love is real if we can't seem to realize our lives. I said, babe, just love me, please. I said, babe, just won't go out with me. I said, babe, only time will set us free. I don't see it wrong from here. I see just love me, please. I said, babe, just won't go out with me. I said, babe, only time will set us free. I don't see it wrong from here. I see you may have to leave me, not far from here. You may have to leave me in this hopeless fear, but why not just leave me, babe? If you're never coming back, so why not just leave me, babe? Release me to the past. I said, babe, just love me, please. I said, babe, just won't
What does Megan mean?
Yo, it's actually a Welsh variant of Margaret, and it means pearl. So it couldn't
Wow.
get more white, and hooray.
What is the difference between Megan and Megan
Yo, just
without
the
an A?
spelling. Just the spelling and the pronunciation.
But
It's
it pretty much has the same meaning.
You know it. It's because English has had like so much work to do in order to find out which English is the English. So,
Yeah.
so you'll get both, and you'll get Megan as well. Nice.